U.S. Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine have announced over $46 million in federal funding to support disaster recovery efforts in Virginia, which followed Hurricane Helene. Now, the funding, which the senators pushed for, was part of the disaster relief package that passed to fund the government. The funding is allocated by the Department of Housing and Urban Development's Community Development Block Grant, which is the disaster recovery program. That program provides flexible funding to support long-term recovery efforts in impacted communities. Now, Kaine and Warner both said that they visited Southwest Virginia in the wake of Hurricane Helene to hear directly from those impacted by the storm. And during the rebuilding of those communities, they said that they wanted it to be a top priority. Warner and Kaine have been vocal advocates for significant federal resources to support Virginia's recovery from Hurricane Helene, and both met with Virginians impacted by the storm in Southwest Virginia to tour damage and discuss federal support. They voted to pass short-term government funding legislation that included $110 billion in disaster relief for communities impacted by Hurricanes Helene and Milton after repeatedly urging Congress to act. Last October, the senators successfully urged the Biden administration to submit a supplemental funding request to cover the cost associated with Hurricanes Helene and Milton, and successfully secured robust disaster relief funding for public lands and federal lands in Southwest Virginia. Again, the important part of this story for us locally here again is that Virginia will receive over $46 million in part of that federal funding to support the disaster recovery efforts. Stay tuned to Star News TV and Facebook.com/StarNewsTV for the latest in local and regional news.